Hi, everyone, and thanks so much for the comments that were made. No one really likes to hear criticism, constructive or otherwise, so I really appreciate the fact. Had to think about what you said, and I really appreciated the fact that you said something and brought all of these concerns to my attention. So, if we take a look at Chapter 4, that's due next week, you'll notice, folks, that there is not going to be formulas to speak of. We're looking at large amounts of data, okay, or large columns, really more than anything else. So, in the previous Excel assignments that we had, you learned how to do a basic formula, then a more advanced formula, absolute and relative cell referencing. Now we're going to take a look at what do we do with all of this information or data or fields and records and everything that's in front of us that we want to make more amenable and easier to read. That's the whole point of chapter 4. In chapter 3, of course, you learn how to do charts. But in chapter 4, now we're going to take this aggregate amount of information and see how we can make it more streamlined and easy to work with, because in later chapters, chapter 5 and chapter 6, you're going to be working with pivot tables and goal setting. And we want to take a look at all of this aggregately without having to look so scroll down, and scroll across. That's the whole point. You're going to learn how to freeze columns so that you're not going back and forth, back and forth. Now you say to yourself, well, this is really easy. But at some point when we go to chapter 5, you're going to have a lot more data than you have right here, or a lot more columns and rows that you have right here. So this is an exercise that's building up to chapter 5, which will help you to work with larger data sheets, larger worksheets, pages. We're not even talking about, um, 2 or 3 little pages here, but we're talking major pages. So this is the first step in doing this. So the first thing you're going to be learning how to do, is freeze columns, so that maybe these 2 columns or these 3 columns or 4 columns stay in place. Could be 1, could be 2, could be 3, could be 4, and then while you're manipulating the data over here, these stay intact. They don't move, so that you don't have to scroll across. You don't have to scroll all the way down or play with this and say, where is this? And I lost this. I can't find it, and make it so much easier. And again, this is easy to look at, but when we're going into the more advanced in chapter 5, you're going to see how important it is to freeze the frames. Okay. In addition to freezing frames, you're going to learn how to add uh, the difference between a record and a field. And this is very important to understand the difference between field and record, because you're going to need this in Access. Access deals totally with data in a very different way than Excel. Data is really like a file cabinet, as some of you well know. If you haven't used Access before, you'll find out that Excel is a very powerful package, because you can do a lot of calculating and data manipulation that you cannot do with Access. Okay, so you're going to learn how to uh, insert records and understand what the difference is between a field and a record. And you're also going to learn how to use the page break. All right, so that we're not looking at this one page itself. We're using a page break, so you'll learn how to do that. And this is really fun. We're continuing the fun part of charts. I think some of you had trouble with chapters 1 and 2 because of formulas, and sometimes maybe arithmetic is not our greatest forte, or we haven't really thought about it. But this is a little bit more fun. There's only going to be one formula, and I'm going to show you where that formula is going to be as soon as I'm finished showing you all of this. So freezing, we're also going to look at the difference between a table, creating an Excel table, designing and creating an Excel table. Now you say to yourself, isn't this a table? No, this is a worksheet. There's a difference. So a table is taking a large amount of information, sorting it, moving it around a little bit differently than you would with all of a larger set of data or a larger set of information, right? So creating a table. Now there's no formula for creating a table. You just follow the prompts and move along. Renaming a table, adding and deleting fields to a table, Okay, adding, editing, deleting records. All right, the difference between a record and a field, and make sure you remember that. And also, you're going to play with some colors, to make it look a little not to make it look nicer, but we want to make sure that the reader can see. Remember what we did with PowerPoint, folks. What we did with PowerPoint, we took all of that wordy text that we had in Word and made it into colors, brought colors, pictures, so that that information that you had in Word would be a lot easier to see in a PowerPoint presentation. So we're doing the same thing here. Obviously, certainly not getting rid of the data or the information that you need, but highlighting using colors. That's the whole point, using colors. Okay? And then we're going to learn how to use structured references in formulas. And this is where we're going to get a little tricky. Not so serious as it was with our if statements and relative and absolute referencing. But what we're going to do, learning what a structured reference is in formulas, okay? And when we look at a structured a structured reference, remember there was absolute reference and a relative reference, and now we're looking at a structured reference. It's a reference in a formula. In a formula. It is not creating a formula. That's very different. Okay? So that's what you're going to be working on. And that is not difficult. It's what they're trying to do is get you to go from one worksheet to another using only a structured reference so that you can pick it up easily without having to do divide C. Then you have equals C5 divided by B5. Okay? You can't do that when you have a great deal of information or data in a spreadsheet. So you're going to have to use a reference. You're going to have to reference, or we could call that, let's say, medical records divided by, I'm sorry, not medical records, hospital costs divided by doctor visit, or total number of doctor visits, or whatever it is. So you see what I'm talking about? It is the reference of the cell that we're looking at and not the formula. Okay, so that's really something different. And again, you're not creating a formula for this. You're taking the names, all right, and dividing using that formula to divide, subtract, or whatever it is that you're doing, and not the cells. These are cells, all right. So let's say we wanted to create something a little different. Okay, so we look at furniture. Let's say we want the percentage of furniture on the individual from the total, okay? And that's what we're looking at. So we're going to look at furniture rather than saying G6 or G7 divided by whatever it is in the others, whatever it is in the individual. Okay? I'm saying this rather quickly because you're going to go through all the steps. What I want to point out is that this is more making sure that we can manipulate and handle all of this information in a way that's easier for the person, such as yourself, or someone that you're going to provide this information to, making a presentation, that person can see quickly what you're talking about and getting the information without having to scroll through tons and tons of cells and rows. All right? And the next thing that you're going to do is sort, and that's really cool. Sorting, that's what these arrows are here to sort. Okay? I was supposed to show you that. But at any rate, you're going to be sorting. And that's highlighting. Is what you're looking at over here is really for our next chapter 5. But the point that I'm making is that you're going to learn how to sort in alphabetical order or ascending order, descending order. Okay? So that, again, is something to look at and play with. It's a lot more fun, okay, than having to do all of the arithmetic, or even easier than using charts. Okay? And the last thing that you're going to be doing, okay, is conditional formatting, adding a row. Okay, now this, you have a formula, okay, and the formula is a subtotal function. Okay, now it's not really a formula because you're just using this. Okay, and you'll see it in your textbook on page 637. The chart of subtotal function numbers. Okay, so that'll be in the chart. So you'll be able to use all of this average count so much easier than having to do the manual equals sum equals sum B6 plus B3 plus D, whatever it is, all of that, what you had to do manually, now you're going to have shortcuts. All right, you're using subtotal functions. All right, and just to give you an idea what these subtotal functions are, it would be average, count, max, min, product. Okay, a lot more fun and easier than what you had to do before. All right, and conditional formatting, of course, is using the colors, using ways to make the information that you want come out and be striking to the reader. Okay, and let's see the other thing that you're going to do, the rules. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Okay, but just to know that you're going to have one formula at the end, towards the end. And it's just the basic formula that you had in chapter 1 in Excel. So make sure you go over chapter 1 in Excel with the formulas to understand percentage. This is going to be a percentage formula. Okay? And with the referencings that you have, the structured reference, you'll be able to divide a title by a title, but you're actually dividing, obviously, the content or the figures within the row itself, okay, or within the column itself. All right. So, but remember, you're using the same concept that you used in chapter 1. So make sure you go over the videos. Make sure you go over the formula that I posted, the correct formula in the assignments. All right. So that this is the assignment that you're going to be doing. All right. So this is what your exercise, your capstone exercise is going to be using: fleet information and sales information. Now you see all of this is certainly not the same as what I had shown you in the hands-on. What I showed you was the hands-on, the read furniture, which is what you're going to be practicing on. All right. So here we're going to be taking this information and expanding, freezing columns, everything that I had told you about sorting, structured reference, a structured reference, and using the formulas, using the subtotal formulas, okay, and also using conditional formatting, and of course using a basic chapter 1 formula. Now, I ran through this very quickly because I just wanted you to get the idea. There's nothing here that I need to go over a formula with you. In the next chapter, I think we have a more advanced if function that I will go over with you very carefully. Any questions that you have, if you want, as I said to you in the announcement, the email announcement, if there's any question that you have, if a group of you want to meet with me, if only one of you wants to meet with me, whatever it is, please make sure that you contact me. I am not here. I didn't put you in groups so that you could just do the work yourself. One of the reasons I put you in groups is that you would be able to work with each other, not just with the assignments, but also, the homework assignments in terms of the wikis, but in terms of helping each other. Maybe you're more comfortable with a smaller group asking questions than with a larger Q&A. This does not mean that I am not here present with you. Some of you have asked me questions and I've responded as quickly as I possibly could. So again, I'm sorry that you had all of this anxiety. That is certainly not the point of my teaching this class, is to offer anxiety. However, make sure you understand, and I am going to put the rubrics up, formulas are important in Excel. So if you have the formula wrong, it is wrong. What you did was half of the assignment, which was to create the spreadsheet. But if you get the formulas wrong, which is the other half of what you're grading, and my mistake was not giving you the rubric for it. So from now on, I'm giving you the rubric. All right? But please make sure to ask. If you're not comfortable asking each other and you feel comfortable talking to me, fine. If you're not comfortable talking to me and you want to talk with others, fine. But if you want to meet with me, tell me when and where, how, and I will be able to meet with you. I'm usually far more available at night than I ever will be during the day. But weekends, work in the evening, certainly not during the day. But whatever works for any of you, in groups or individually, whatever works. Please do not get frustrated after you see the grade. The time to ask me questions or the time to consult with anyone is during the week that you're doing the assignment. So this way everyone should get an A in the class. a lot of you are getting an A in the class. It's not like 2 or 3 are getting A's and everybody else is failing. No, a good number of you are getting A's and a good number of you are doing well, which also brings up the point which I did not address. With the wikis, please make sure there are 4 of you, at least 4 of you or 5, who we can review and make sure that you have sentences and each sentence is correct. You're all college students. You're all in the junior or senior year. Some of you are in a master's program. You have to think about your writing. You can't just think, well, this is a computer class and I don't have to think about my writing. Yes, you do. And all of you work and all of you are professionals moving up the rank, and you know how important writing is. So if I'm taking points off, again, I didn't put that in the rubric and I should, so I apologize for that. But I also thought that in terms of who you are as semi-professionals or professionals in training or true professionals, you would know that. So forgive me for assuming things that I just should not have had to assume. All right? Anything, folks, just make sure you contact me. Thank you all very much. Bye-bye.